Well, welcome everybody. We have with us today an interesting, I'm gonna say, I don't know if I'm gonna say a new product, but an interesting product that I'd like to expose us all to, called Quickpass. And with that, we have Brennan with us. Quickpass is privileged access management, unless you have a different way of describing it, Chris.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's definitely access management. There's privileged access. There's also identity access management in there as well. All falling under, some of the hot button topics in cybersecurity at the moment. But there's
Right.
also quite a bit of optimization for end users, and we'll be able to limit any downtime anyone experiences when they lose access. So that's going to be what I'm going to
Cool.
display for you
Cool.
guys today, as well as giving you, the ability to be assured that whenever NetV Pro makes a call to you, that they are who they claim they are, and vice versa. When you call in, you've got an easy way to, confirm who you are. And that way, everything gets audited, everything gets tracked, and we can make sure that, everything is above board whenever any sensitive levels of service are given out.
Very cool. Well, with that, why don't you, I'll turn it over to you a little bit, and why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and your role with QuickPass, and then go into the overview of the tool, and then we can do kind of a conversational question and answer after that. No
Yeah.
topic is off limits, so just be ready for that.
Hey, no worries. Well, yeah, myself, I'm from Ireland, from Dublin, based here in Vancouver, though, in Canada.
Well, you probably noticed I'm wearing a Dropkick Murphys hat.
There you go, good man. We call them a paddy cap.
That's there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, we're representing with the paddy caps today. But
Right?
yeah, so I've been up here quite a while. I used to live in the States for a while as well, but I've been in cybersecurity for about 5 or 6 years now, very much focused on the IT service provider market. And the way we feel in QuickPass about cybersecurity is that MSPs really are the answer to the overreaching cybersecurity problem, because it's just, from all different walks of all different avenues, all these different vectors, and MSPs are really at the front lines in protecting, small and medium sized businesses, which really are the backbone of the economy in the first place. So, that's why we see MSPs as at the forefront of the battle. And we like to think we help you prepare, in with the tool set and with the functionality to protect yourselves, your clients, your users, all of the above.
That's actually a really interesting way of thinking about it. I've not heard it articulated that way before, but yeah, that's really interesting. That's and a good point. That MSPs end up being on the front lines, and you're right, small to medium sized business. We're fighting a fight every day, So
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And if anyone has more experience than MSPs in this battle, I'm yet to hear about it. So definitely, we like to think we're helping protect MSPs, but at the end of the day, we're actually protecting the end users as well. And then because QuickPass is used now in I think 15 different countries by over 1,000 MSPs with over, you know, easily 20,000 businesses that are being supported there. Probably a lot more. I don't have the exact numbers, but yeah, like, as you go, you take all these small and medium sized businesses and you're really protecting an overarching part of the economy. And yeah, that's where we fall in. We work with, any kinds of organizations like healthcare, finance, legal, manufacturing, like really every single vertical you can think of, QuickPass is involved in. And that's through that second point of contact as we're working with the MSP initially. And, MSPs protect all walks of business.
hmm Yeah, super interesting. All right,
For
I didn't
sure.
mean to interrupt you. I just, like you said, I hadn't heard it articulated that way before, and I think you made a very good point there. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I'll dive in and I'll share my
yeah,
screen. So I'm going to show you guys. If someone can just enable sharing for me, I'll
yep,
be able
I
to
got
do
you.
that. Ah, sweet. Thanks so much. Okay, so I'm just sharing my desktop. You guys should all be able to see just my screen here with my phone here on the left. So this is my phone I'm sharing. I'm a European, so I'm an Android user, but we absolutely support iOS as well. iOS, Android, any kind of operating system we've got covered. Now, for the users, there's a couple of options. We offer an app that is very much white labeled. That's going to be, an app that's secured through biometrics, and you'll see NetV Pro all over it. But then if anyone doesn't want to download that onto their phone, it is not an issue, because you can actually then use SMS and email and a browser version of the app instead. So regardless of how you want to get it set up, there's a bunch of different ways to do so. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock out a dummy account, pretending I'm an end user. I've come in, after a 2-week holiday, forgotten what my password is, or what, it's expired and I didn't realize. Whatever the use case, on the back end here, I'm just entering in an incorrect password 3 times. I've got one in, I'm going to do a second, and then we're going to do an entry number 3. And we're about to see, as soon as I hit this one on my phone here, we get this notification, your account's been locked. So as soon as you've locked yourself out, you get this notification in real time. Or if you've allowed it to expire or anything like that too. But if I come in and I hit this, as we see it's white labeled, you'll know it's your MSP that's provided that tool. It's then going to be secured through biometrics. Now, the biometrics on my phone decided to break last week. So what I use now instead, and what you will use if you don't have biometrics on your phone, will be the PIN for your phone itself, which is what I'm doing here now. And then as soon as I get in, options are unlock or reset. Extremely straightforward. So if I hit unlock, I'm back in right now if I know what my password is and I just locked myself out by not paying attention. If I do need to reset that password though, and I hit this button, this is then the policy in place at your organization, which is a big thing. So with password changing and changing passwords regularly, a big reliance is on the complexity of it. The more complex your password is, the safer it is. And what we'll do is we'll display the complexity for the users so that everyone can figure out exactly what I need to do here, right? So it won't allow me to reset my password until I actually match the policy. Now I've matched the complexity in place. This button highlights for the user. I hit change password, and there we go. I've just isolated my password change in that I didn't have to get a new password from anyone. I did it through secure biometrics, so very much zero knowledge for anyone else. Just the user has it isolated. But another huge part of that is zero downtime, right? No one wants, you forget your password. The last thing you want to do is spend 20, 30 minutes on the phone trying to get it reset, trying to get back in. Whereas here, zero downtime, users back in 20, 30 seconds. Then, any day of the week, any time of day, and you're back in without any hassle. Even if you forget it again, you can reset it there and, really optimize your users' time. And when you extrapolate those 20, 30 minutes across your full staff, and that happens a few times a week or a few times a month, those numbers build up as well as far as bottom line costs. That's the first side of it. If I didn't want to use the app for the reset there, I would have just got an SMS or an email, which would then link me to the browser version of the app, which I'll just go to here. And we can see all I do now, enter in my email. I'll get sent a 2FA to verify who I am. And then I'm in on the browser version of the app, which looks the exact same as what we just saw. It just doesn't require that download ahead of time. So that's like the reset and account unlock functionality. Does anyone have any questions on what we've looked at so far?
Keith, I have some questions.
Please go right ahead.
First one is when you were resetting your password.
Yes.
Unless I missed it, it didn't have a place to confirm what you had typed in. So if you don't look at it, you don't get a confirmation of what you put in.
That is true. So I'll
Okay.
show you. You
So they got to make sure they look at what they're typing in.
Yeah, you can use this eyeball here.
Right.
The eyeball will show you what it is, and then exactly that. Just make sure you've looked at it. Now the thing is, I've just ran a reset, but if I've forgotten what I've already reset, I can just reset it again, and it's like, okay, come on,
Okay.
remember it this time. You know what I mean? But no,
Next
absolutely.
question is, I saw where you had the password.
Yes.
Put your email address in.
Mm-hmm.
How does that know it's your email address as opposed to someone else just having the app and putting their email address in?
That's a great question. So, first off, that's going to come down to NetV Pro setting it up. And when you set it up, they'll send out a welcome email to the users. So a user will receive a welcome email, extremely straightforward. It's got 2 steps. One is plug in your phone number, and then
Okay.
the other is go to the App or Play Store to download the app. So at that point, you know, end to end, it's come from the MSP, it's gone to yourself. The user then gets set up for the app, and then they'll use biometrics every time to get in. So even if they were to lose their phone or someone stole their phone, they can't actually access the app anyway. And then if there's a third option in that welcome email, if they don't want to download the app, and it's to hit the link which brings them to the browser version of the app, which was what we saw the second half there, which looks the exact same like we said earlier, just doesn't require that download.
Okay, so when NetV Pro sets it up, they're
Mm-hmm.
somehow going to tie that application to your phone or your email. Like,
So it'll go to the email address, and then the user just hits the link to the app store in the email. That
mhm.
brings them to the app, and then they download it themselves.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Any other questions, guys? Now, another thing, uh, and this kind of goes back to your question there initially, Kenneth. So one thing as well that we'll give the ability to do is verification. So if anyone makes a call from, one of NetV Pro's partners into NetV Pro or vice versa, there's a way to end to end encrypt that call. So if someone's like, I didn't get a welcome email, can you send me another one? Or any kind of like sensitive level of service that needs to be provided. So I'm going to do that on the back end here as a technician would. And we're going to look at two options. So the first one I'll show you if the user didn't want the app, the tech just comes in and hits this button on the back end. And then the technician will get an option of SMS or email if the user was non-app user. So in this scenario, I'm just going to say, yeah, I've got my phone on me. Just send me a text here, please. I now have a code in front of me as a technician, and it matches up this code right here. So all the user has to do is read that code out on an inbound, or if they get an outbound and they want to confirm it's NetV Pro, they can go, can you read the code out to me, which I have in front of me on my other screen here, and end-to-end encrypt the call through that way. So I've just verified that on the back end. And then if the user was an app user, the functionality for the technician is the same. I'm hitting the same button here, but I hit send now, and now we're going to get verify your identity, right? So we come in, we hit this. It's again white labeled and secured through biometrics. And once we get in, we now have a timer, and I have a timer in front of me on the technician dashboard on my other screen. They match up. All the user has to do is hit approve. And there we go. User ID verified, authorized to receive IT support. I've got the same message on the back end. That is all then audited and tracked so that really you're protecting yourselves, and NetV Pro is protected from anything like threat actors, people trying to impersonate phone numbers, gaining access to any systems or sensitive levels of information. And you're locking down the call in a couple of seconds without having to run through, potentially calling back to a point of contact or HR or someone in the C-suite. None of those levels of approval are needed now, as it's all secured end to end through biometrics or 2FA. Yeah, so that's security aspect. And really identity access management is where that falls under too.
Right. So so this is used for accessing like logging into the network or whatever, logging in using your credentials, log in. How about for other apps? Like,
Yeah. So right now it's mainly for like help desk calls, right? Help desk calls, tickets. Anytime there's like a phone call going on, or even an email transaction going on, or interaction even, that's where you're locking that down. But when you say about apps, we're actually going to be opening up our API probably mid to late this year. And that's going to give us the ability to talk with any third-party tools that are open for API calls or webhooks. And that'll mean end users can reset their passwords for these apps or third-party tools. We'll also be able to do the privilege rotation on the back end for those tools as well. So definitely there'll be a lot of functionality coming when the API is open. And at that point, the world's your oyster as far as the passwords we can reset and rotate on the back end as well.
so for example, in that world that you just
Yeah.
described, let's just as an example, say I'm working in financial services say I'm doing collections or whatever, and I forget my password. You're saying that with the API being open, those vendors who create software in that environment would be able to integrate this tool as an option for users or collectors in this example being able to reset their own passwords.
Exactly. As long as they don't lock down API communication, as long as they're available for those either API calls or webhooks, we'll be able to do that. Take a small bit of custom scripting, and then it's good to go. And then for those other tools that don't communicate that way, we will start looking at integrating directly with those as well. So that would be more on, like the firewall switches, network gear side of things. So more on the MSP security side of things. But really, realistically, when we're talking MSP security, we're also talking security for SMEs, so, or for any of your partners at all. So that will be, again, how we're going to start tackling those ones that are secured and locked down their API. But then there's not that many that do that. It's usually most are available for API calls and webhooks, but those extremely secure tool sets that don't want to do that, then we'll start integrating with those. Like Veeam is one, and there's a few others that we'll be looking at tackling too. Now, one last thing I wanted to show on the end user experience here is the notification that's been on my phone since we started. So it's around password expiry. So we will let users know ahead of time when passwords are due to expire from 10 days out at 9 a.m. Now, that is even if the user is remote. So a lot of the time, if a user's gone remote and you're on Active Directory, they will not receive those notifications and they end up getting locked out, have to call in, get back onto a VPN, that kind of thing. Whereas here we get out ahead of that and we'll let them know. But what it also gives you the ability to do is implement more stringent password policies, right? Like a lot of the time I hear on my end, people don't want to change their passwords, so we don't set an expiration, or we set it as like 365 days, once a year. Because also we don't want them changing from password 1 to password 2 to password 3, which are all valid concerns. But we're giving you the ability, as we saw earlier, to display the complexity and ensure complex passwords whenever a user resets them. But we can also give you the ability then to implement those more more frequent password changes. So you're actually getting best of both worlds. You're getting secure passwords, but you're also having people change their passwords and not having to experience downtime or getting locked out because of that. So adding security, but also adding efficiency for, the users themselves.
So if I'm a user, let's say,
Yeah,
and let's just say I'm really bad at remembering my passwords, literally, a tool like this would make it so I could just create a new password every time I go in, because it uses two-factor authentication, right?
exactly.
So
So
theoretically,
yeah, you're dead right. It's exactly it. If you really wanted to, and then the thing is as well is that anything that gets done, anyone that uses Quickpass in any functionality, users, text, whatever it is, every single action is tracked in our events log. So you can even see, like, look, if someone's been resetting their password once every couple of days, you can reach out and be like, look, are you having problems here with your password? Like, what can we do to make it so that you can help remember it, that kind of thing. So you can actually also be proactive in scenarios like that.
Interesting. All right, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to derail. Keep going.
No, not at all. That's pretty much everything I wanted to show on my end. So the thing about it is it's a powerful tool, but it also, we've tried to make sure that it's as easy to use as possible, right? Like a lot of the time you add cybersecurity into an environment, most of the time it's going to slow things down. MFA is a perfect example. Like, it is a necessary evil without a doubt. Everything we do is completely locked down by MFA, but it's going to slow things down, right? Whereas what we're trying to do is add that security, but also add efficiencies so that you get the security, but you're not slowing your day down. If anything, you're actually speeding up your day, and that there's no downtime. There's no making, additional unnecessary phone calls to the help desk anymore.
You said it has.
Here's a scenario I got a question about. If let's say an employee is let go from a company and
Yeah.
they try to access the file server once they've been let go, Once we disable them in Active Directory, how does this respond?
That's a great question, John. And actually, it will immediately remove their access. As soon as you do anything in Active Directory, we will be a real-time reflection of that. So that's the same as when you add users. So if you add a user to AD 365, any of those, we'll immediately pull that user in for you into Quickpass and can send them out a welcome email. We can also send them out a password reset link, so you don't have to give them a temporary password. We can just get the reset link out to them and they can do it themselves. But then on the flip side, if a user is removed or disabled from AD or 365 or even a local work group, we immediately remove their access to Quickpass as well. Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Awesome. Lovely stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on my end. Now, I know we talked about, clipping this as well, and I have plenty of content, one pagers. I'll also work with the NetV Pro team and get you guys in with our partner marketing to help you, explain this further to the rest of your customer base. But all of these resources, all of these professional services are right there for you. If you need anything at all, let us know and we'll be happy to accommodate all along the way.
Cool. I do have a couple of questions
Go ahead.
about the tool. So does this tool, let's see, how do I describe it? So does this tool integrate with other tools that we would use as an MSP in supporting our customers? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have your tool set in front of me, but what PSA are you guys using?
Like if we were to use a tool, let's say like we use like IT Glue or some of those other tool sets that you guys integrate with tools like that.
We integrate directly with IT Glue.
And how does that work?
So that's more on the privileged password side of things, where we'll give you the ability to automatically change all of your privileged passwords, and we update the records in IT Glue for you. And then and that's automatically and on demand, down to a daily basis. We also track and monitor the network so that if anyone changes the password on the fly, at a client location or on a workstation, something like that, we pick that change up and immediately update the Glue entry for you. So what it means is we make all those passwords way more secure because you're changing them every day. Also, we make it so your Glue entries are always going to be your source of truth. And then on the flip side, for like, are you guys a ConnectWise shop, Dado shop, ConnectWise?
Yeah, so like with ConnectWise, yep.
Yeah, so our ConnectWise Manage integration is going to allow your technicians to send that verification push from within a ticket. It will also allow unlocks, resets, and reset links to all be sent out from within a ticket as well, meaning no one has to remote into a server or go to a 365 list. And for your partners, it means that if they call in, instead of having to wait 15 minutes to get a reset performed, it takes 30 seconds. 30 seconds, no remote access, no leaving ConnectWise. Everything is audited in the ticket itself. And then further on that is ConnectWise Control or Screen Connect, where we will push the passwords from the privileged passwords from IT Glue into ConnectWise Control sessions for your technicians. They don't need to go and look in Glue for what the passwords are. They don't need to copy and paste anything. We directly send it from Glue into the remote session for them, rotate the password later that day. They don't even need to know what the password is. So getting you to a pretty close to almost like a passwordless, as well as zero knowledge state for your technicians when it comes to passwords.
Did you say zero knowledge state? I might have to use that. That's awesome.
Go right ahead, man. I'm full of buzz.
Yeah,
I had
Well, when you factor in productivity gains, it's $0.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. $0, zero knowledge.
Look for that silver lining in that cloud.
That's right.
Yeah, write that one down.
So does it show up? So if you're working a ticket or whatever, does it show up as like an icon in the ticket, or how does that, or a button or something?
It's a pod, yeah. Do you want me to show you that here now?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, do that.
Okay, 2 seconds. So right here, this is our pod. You guys can see ConnectWise here, right?
Yep.
So resets, unlocks, even send a reset link by email or SMS and just go, I've just sent you a link, go reset your own password. Keep it zero knowledge for the technician. So these are all geared at. These 1, 2, and 3 here are all geared at time optimization for the tech and the user. Traditional 10 or 15 minute ticket is 10 or 15 seconds. No need to remote into a server to do this. And then the other one is the identity verification, which we saw. So when I hit that, and on the back end, like I was saying, this is the back end functionality that I was running through. And then the user just gets it on their phone, it's verify, and then even all of that is tracked.
I was gonna say, does that update that then updates the ticket?
It does indeed, yeah. And it updates it further in further detail on our events log. Yeah, so that's ConnectWise manage. For Glue, we'll just like automatically, I'll just show you for real quick. Yeah. We're looking at 28 admin. We're in the Quickpass portal now in the dashboard, and we're looking at 28 admin accounts here. And then here, I'll just get the password entry and Glue going. So last change 17 hours ago. Looks like my home Wi-Fi has gone nice and slow on me this morning. But we're looking at 28 admin accounts for one customer. So they're all admins, all the accounts you guys will use on the back end. And we're changing these passwords every single day. The last one out yesterday, and it's next due to go out today. And if we look at this current passwords beginning with ICE. Now, if you had any kind of trigger event, and I'm obviously doing this very high level, like there's all set up and granular settings you guys can do. But as far as if you had a trigger event, you want to change every single password. Normally changing 28 admin passwords is going to be a, not a fun undertaking. Whereas all I do now is hit select all, rotate now. And I've just changed every single admin password at that location. Active Directory, 365 and locally have all just been changed. But we also run through a contingency plan in that we don't just go and change them. We have a checklist along the way where we have to be certain we can change them in every area before we'll change them anywhere. So we'll never change them in your documentation without changing them on the machine or vice versa, that kind of thing. As we can see though, that's gone out a minute ago. There's your new password. There's your revision trail of what all the old passwords were. And the fact it was done via Quickpass. So you've got like accountability here and change history and compliance here. And then last thing I want to show you, there's a lot more to all of this, but the last thing I want to show you here for the interest of time is our control integration. So here, you just fire up control on the right. This is our desktop app that sits there for your tech. All they do is select their machine, which it'll know, select the account they need, hit autofill, and we've just pushed that password into control for you. From Glue into control. Tech didn't have to see what it was. They didn't have to copy and paste anything. What's usually 30 seconds every single time is now 0 seconds, maybe 5. But also keeping it more secure. Don't have to see what the password is. Password changes later today. So, technicians are getting the access they need without needing to have actual knowledge of the passwords themselves. Yeah, so that's pretty much a high-level overview of everything Quickpass will do. So more focused at the beginning on your partner's experience, and then on the other side of it is how you will secure your partner environments as well as your own passwords that you're using for access into those. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to get through today, guys, and a little more. Unless anyone has any questions for me, I think, I guess after seeing the privilege side of things, does anyone have any questions?
Well, the one thing I did notice when you were in, I guess, the admin section,
yeah,
you were actually able to display all the admin's passwords.
Actually, we don't display that. Let me go here. What we do, these are all like the display name, the username, computer name, and we'll show the password status in real time. But we use a 256-bit encrypted network to change these admin passwords and then just push them into Glue, into IT.
What was that? What was that thing that you were showing was ICE Mocker?
Yeah. So that is an admin password in IT Glue. So this is the documentation system that an MSP will use to keep their passwords in there. And then they're like the admin passwords that they use to remote into client environments.
Okay.
Yeah, IT Glue will allow us to buy on a user basis and on a client basis, block the use of being able to see those passwords as well.
Yeah.
I like the password. I mean, I always say to people, the length is much more important than complexity. Because unlike the movies, you don't solve character 1, character 2, character 3. You either get the whole thing or you get nothing.
Yeah, I mean you're dead right. So it really
Makes it a
password
lot easier to
length
remember, a lot more secure.
100%, Kenneth. And the thing about it is, when you get to 30 to 40 characters here, it's pretty much it is just as impossible for a brute force system to crack.
Oh, it is.
And like you said, a lot easier for a human to remember. So
Yeah.
when you get to 30, 40 characters, I'm not sure if you guys have seen that like graph, but on a brute force system, I think it takes like 2 million years.
Something like that, if not
I think
longer.
we should be okay.
Yeah.
For now. Touch wood.
Gotta wait for that quantum stuff to come around.
I know you beat me to the punch. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but that'll be a whole different scenario, a whole different kettle of fish. But once the good guys are using it as well as the bad guys, then we should all be okay.
Interesting. Could you use it? All right, so I understand that I'm kind of out over the tips of my skis on this one, so I'm just going to ask a question.
Go ahead.
If you're an enterprise and you have an environment where you have, let's say, guest networks, for example, could you use this tool to automate the process of establishing the passwords for the guest network, and use this tool to automate that somehow so that you're managing that network, but you're not having to, as an admin, go through and set passwords and do that for a guest network?
But initially, the thing is we can't create passwords in a network, but once the account is set up, we can go and discover it for you and pull it in and push it into glue if you want, or automatically rotate it. So we are a discovery tool, but we aren't an account creation tool. As of yet. We are, we're already very much a PAM tool for MSPs, but we really want to be the best thing. I feel like we might already be, but really we want to be the fully best in class. And that account creation should be a part of that. So that'll fall under identity access management is the overall umbrella term, and PAM, privileged access management, is a subset of that. But we're kind of doing everything in IAM as well as PAM. And like, if you were to look at what our roadmap looks like for the end of this year, we're touching on what a lot of enterprise tools are doing, as well as, any other kind of PAM-ish tools in the MSP space. So yeah, it's exciting times. There's going to be, it's pretty holistic already, but it'll be an even more holistic solution by, this time next year. Yeah. So you guys got it.
It's kind of interesting with the API piece of it. I mean, because that really opens it up, and yeah, that's kind of cool being able to, having a background both in HIPAA and financial services, and understanding how tight that space can be. That's kind of an exciting thing to do. So cool, very good. Does anybody else have any questions for Chris?
Fantastic.
Hearing none, should we transition and so Chris, we do this thing that, well, I like to call it the Wheel of Death. I'm not allowed to call it that because that seems a little negative. So we call it the Wheel of Happiness and Joy.
How about the Wheel of Shame?
What?
The Wheel of Shame.
The Wheel of Shame. I actually like that one too. I like that one a lot, the Wheel of Shame. So we'll do the Wheel of Shame. And what we do is we spin.
Wait, is Raj on?
Yeah, no, Raj isn't on. You actually have a shot. So we spin the wheel for a chance to win a Subway sandwich.
Hey.
So
Very nice.
it's crazy what this group will do for a Subway sandwich. mostly misdemeanors, but once in a while a felony. So we're all right. So with that, I don't know, Piper, are you set with the Wheel of Shame? I like the Wheel of Shame. We have to come up with a logo for that. So all right, well, you're muted though, Pipes.
Oh God, I got 50. Where's it?
Oh, look, you got 50-50 shot, Ken.
You do.
And Denny has come close to catching up to Raj. He's like Denny is the new Raj.
The Raj wannabe.
Yeah, the Raj 2.0.
I'm still trying to be Denny.
Yeah, you gotta lift up to be Denny. All right,
drum roll, please.
Yep, give her a spin. I think we fed Denny for about 2 months here.
Oh, and he
on too.
I don't know. I think Denny has compromised the internet.
I don't know.
I'm not
Somebody's got
sure.
their thumb on that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
How does that work? Denny keeps. We're gonna have to give Denny a different code name.
Hey,
Next time we can call him Jim or something.
Yes.
Well, Denny.
congrats, Denny.
Yeah.
If it's okay, guys, I'm gonna run. I've got
Yeah.
another meeting on the
All right.
back end, but really
Thank you, Chris.
appreciate you all giving me this bit of
Thank
time.
you, Chris.
Congrats
you.
to you, Denny, on the subway, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Chris.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you, everybody. And if you have questions about Quickpass, if you have interest in learning more, let me know, and we can reach out to Chris, and he's more than happy to talk about it and kind of give us an overview on how we can use it. So,
Okay. Sounds
all
good.
right, very good. Thanks,
This
everyone.
is
Have
one
a
of
good.
the
Go ahead.
more interesting apps I've seen in a long time. It actually piques my interest.
Yeah, it actually is pretty interesting, and I mean it was a quick demo, but it does a lot. It's kind of it's oddly complex, and not in a bad way, but yeah, it's cool. It's pretty interesting actually.
Well, I'm
And
going
no
to try
say,
and find the contact to the PBSO down here.
cool.
And, I think it'd be any large organization, something like this could be a big help.
Yep, can really be a big help. So
Yeah.
I also
very good.
wanted to say to the people that are here anyways, we do have the next PowerLunch scheduled out up until I want to say June. So those invites will be sent out early, but our next one is Black Point if you are interested at all. I think they have a new I'm not even going to attempt to remember what it was, like EMR or something like that, some new tool that they have going on. But yeah, that's in 2 weeks.
The ever popular Black Point.
Yes.
So all right, very good. Well, everybody have a good week, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Yep, bye-bye.